I once knew a Scorpio who never raised his voice, never lost his temper, yet everyone feared him. It was during a silent retreat in the northern mountains of California that I first met Elijah. He barely spoke a word during the entire 10-day retreat. While others smiled, fidgeted, or whispered behind closed doors, he simply observed. And yet, the room shifted every time he walked in. His gaze was heavy, like the weight of 1,000 unspoken truths. There was no smile. There was no hostility. Only presence. On the third night, a young woman burst into tears during evening meditation. She later confessed that she felt like Elijah could see through her, into every shameful decision she'd ever made. He hadn't even spoken to her. And that was my first real encounter with Scorpio energy. Collision: why this sign is unlike any other. You've probably heard people whisper, "Don't cross a Scorpio. They remember everything. They can destroy you with silence." But why does this water sign, ruled by Pluto, the planet of destruction and rebirth, carry such a reputation? Is it because they seek harm? No. It's because they see too much, feel too deeply, and never forget. In today's exploration, we won't just list traits. We'll unmask the spiritual paradox behind Scorpio. How a sign capable of incredible loyalty and love can also embody danger and vengeance. How a Scorpio can save your soul or shatter your ego. Brain the path to Buddhist wisdom meets Western astrology. At first glance, Scorpio and Buddhist wisdom may seem worlds apart. But what if I told you? A fully awakened Scorpio is one of the most spiritually evolved beings you'll ever meet. Why? Because Scorpio lives where others fear to look. In the shadow. In the trauma. In the dark corners of the self where ego hides. Buddhism teaches us. Suffering is not to be avoided, it is to be understood. And that is Scorpio's path. Waterwave, the magnetic force you can't resist. There's a reason why people are drawn to Scorpios, even when they know it may end in chaos. It's the same reason we watch thunderstorms roll in, or stare too long into a candle's flame. Scorpio is the Zodiac's paradox. Magnetic and terrifying, loving and lethal, soft-spoken and soul-piercing. Fire, this video is not just a list, it's a journey. In the next 5 parts of this script, we will uncover the 15 reasons Scorpio is the most dangerous zodiac sign, but not to judge, only to understand. You'll hear magnifying glass, tilted left, real stories from those who have loved or feared a Scorpio. Man in lotus position, spiritual parallels between Scorpio's traits and the Buddhist path of ego death. Broken heart, emotional truths about betrayal, loyalty, pain, and power. Lightbulb, personal insights from decades of observing this sign in silence and action. If you think this is just another astrology video, let me warn you, this one might change the way you see Scorpios forever. Because once you enter their world, you will not leave unchanged. Pushpin, here's what's coming next. Scorpion Part 2. When Scorpio feels, the earth trembles. Why their emotional intensity is not just powerful, but nuclear. How they love like saints but grieve like fallen angels. But for now, breathe, reflect, and prepare yourself. Scorpion Part 2. When Scorpio feels, the earth trembles. Waterwave, they don't just feel, they dive into the abyss. If you've ever seen a Scorpio go through heartbreak, loss, or betrayal, you'll know. They don't cry and move on like others. They disintegrate, then they rebuild. You see, Scorpios don't skim the surface of life. They plunge into it like deep-sea divers. And when they love like it's a matter of life and death. Fire, he loved me like no one ever did, and hated me like no one ever could. That's what Claire said about her ex-boyfriend, Leo, a Scorpio she met during her final year in college. He memorized every word she ever said, every detail she liked. He remembered her coffee order, the way she hated crowds, her fear of thunderstorms. He was perfect until the night she lied about where she was. She thought it was a white lie. He saw it as betrayal. He didn't yell. He didn't accuse her. He disappeared. She said, "The silence was more painful than any insult. He made me feel like I never existed." And that's the Scorpio paradox. When they invest their soul, even small betrayals feel like soul-level wounds. Broken heart, reason number 1. Emotional depth, the volcano beneath calm waters. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, the planet of death, rebirth, and transformation. Emotionally, this means they don't have bad days. They have internal earthquakes. They don't feel sad. They grieve the idea of being betrayed. They don't like someone. They obsess, adore, and defend with their entire being. A Scorpio in love is more than romantic. They are possessed by the connection. And if it's broken, they're not just disappointed. They're reborn through pain. Man in Lotus position, what Buddhism says about this kind of attachment. The Buddha taught, attachment is the root of suffering. And for Scorpio, this truth cuts deep. They form bonds not lightly, but once formed, they're like sacred vows. So when someone violates that bond, even unintentionally, it's as if the karma of lifetimes is shaken. That's why Scorpio pain is so intense. It's not about ego. It's about sacred emotional contracts being broken. Brain reason number 2. Holding grudges. The art of remembering forever. Unlike Aries who explodes and forgets, Scorpio simmers. In silence. In strategy. They won't shout at you. They'll remember. File it. And maybe, just maybe, wait until the perfect time to strike. Bomb story. The coworker who learned too late. Marcus worked at a tech startup. He once gossiped about a Scorpio teammate, Julia, thinking she'd never find out. She did. She didn't confront him. She didn't warn him. But over the next few months, every opportunity Marcus wanted slipped through his fingers. People turned cold. Projects were reassigned. Eventually, he was let go. To this day, he never proved it was Julia. But everyone in the office felt her shadow in the silence. Scorpios don't destroy you with chaos. They destroy you with chilling precision. Is this evil? Or karma? The Buddha reminds us. What you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create. When someone wrongs a Scorpio, their powerful imagination becomes a tool of karmic balance. Not because they enjoy revenge, but because they can't tolerate injustice. Even if that justice arrives years later. No entry reason number 3. Unforgiving. The door that shuts forever. Here's the thing. Scorpios may say they forgive. They may even smile and pretend things are okay. But deep down, they never forget the moment you made them bleed. Ice Cube, when forgiveness becomes a myth. Tamara, a Scorpio, once said, I forgave my sister for stealing my money, but I never looked at her the same way again. That version of me, the one who trusted her, is gone. And that's the essence of Scorpio forgiveness. It's not about second chances. It's about emotional death. When a Scorpio cuts you off, it's not because they hate you. It's because they no longer recognize the person who once cared. Compass how to walk the Scorpio path wisely. The most dangerous thing you can do is underestimate a Scorpio's memory. Don't lie to them. Don't say what you don't mean. Don't promise what you can't keep. Because once that trust is broken, it's not just a relationship that ends. It's a chapter of your karmic history sealed forever. Milky Way, a final word before part 3. In part 3, we'll explore how Scorpios master the art of psychological warfare without ever lifting a finger. We'll reveal their manipulative brilliance, their aura of mystery, and how they can silently shift any room they enter. But before we move on, ask yourself, have I ever truly understood the pain I caused a Scorpio? Because they have, and they remember. Brain Part 3, Manipulation, Mystery, and Mind Games. Scorpio's quiet control. Puzzle piece, have you ever lost a battle without knowing you were in one? That's what it's like going up against a Scorpio. They won't raise their voice. They won't make threats. They'll simply study you. Learn your language, your patterns, your motives. And one day, without realizing how, you'll wake up having done exactly what they wanted. Thinking it was your idea. That, my friend, is Scorpio's invisible hand. A masterclass in emotional strategy. Chess pawn reason number 4. Master manipulators, not by force, but precision. Let's be clear. Manipulation in the hands of Scorpio isn't always malicious. Sometimes it's protection. Sometimes it's strategy. And sometimes it's vengeance masked as coincidence. Performing arts story, the relationship that was a chess game. Emma thought she was in love. She was, but not with who she thought. Her boyfriend, Adrian, a Scorpio, never told her what to do. He simply asked the right questions. He'd say things like, do you really think he respects you? You're better than working late for that boss who never notices. A few months later, she'd quit her job, cut ties with friends, and was fully immersed in his world. It wasn't abuse. There were no rules. Just subtle, psychological gravity, pulling her into his orbit. Man in Lotus position from a Buddhist perspective. Intention is everything. Manipulation, in its purest sense, is influence. What matters is the intention behind it. As the Dhammapada teaches, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. Scorpios are masterful thinkers, able to weave intentions into actions so seamlessly that others follow without resistance. Candle reason number 5. Aura of mystery, the power of what is not said. Scorpios don't need to speak to control a room. They walk in, and the atmosphere thickens. There's something behind their eyes. A look that suggests they know something you don't. A feeling that they've already decided how this conversation ends before it begins. Ein speech bubble real story. The meeting that never happened. At a board meeting in Bangkok, a Scorpio named May sat silently while the rest argued over a product launch. She didn't speak. She didn't flinch. Until the end, when the CEO turned to her and asked, "May, what do you think?" She replied, "I think you all missed the only number that matters." Then calmly pointed to a data cell no one had noticed, one that would have led to financial disaster. The room fell silent. No one challenged her again. Crystal ball mystery is power in disguise. Buddhist practice often encourages stillness, inner knowing, and non-attachment to expression. Ironically, this is also Scorpio's silent strength. They do not need to be understood. And that's exactly why they're so intriguing and so dangerous. Joystick reason number 6. Hard to read. The enigma you'll never solve. While other signs wear their hearts on their sleeves, Scorpio wraps theirs in layers of silence, control, and detachment. You might spend years with a Scorpio, laughing, loving, living, and still never really know their true thoughts, their real intentions, or the full depth of their pain. Face without mouth example, the friend who never revealed himself. Liam had known his best friend Noah for 12 years. Noah was there for every breakup, every celebration, every failure. But one day, Noah disappeared. No explanation. No goodbye. Months later, Liam learned Noah had been dealing with depression, financial collapse, and family death all alone. When asked why he never said anything, Noah said, "Because it was mine to carry. You wouldn't have understood." Scorpio doesn't hide out of arrogance. They hide out of self-preservation. Balance scale why this is dangerous and divine. Not being understood gives Scorpio control. They can withhold weaknesses, protect their vulnerabilities, observe your patterns without exposing their own. But this also creates a wall, one that few can climb. It can lead to loneliness, paranoia, or emotional coldness when unchecked. As a spiritual lesson, this is Scorpio's burden. How to live in truth without fearing betrayal. How to love deeply without needing to dominate. Brain Scorpio's mind games are rarely games at all. When a Scorpio seems cold, they're often calculating how much truth you can handle. When they go silent, they're watching, not withdrawing. And when they test you, it's not manipulation. It's survival. Magnifying glass tilted left what to watch for in a Scorpio strategy. They never repeat themselves. If they've said it once, take it seriously. They rarely show emotion in conflict. Stillness means they're storing everything. They will forgive, but on their terms. Don't confuse silence for peace. It's often analysis. Milky Way up next, Part 4. When Scorpio strikes back, vengeance and precision. We've explored how Scorpio reads you like a book and closes it without warning. But in Part 4, we go darker. You'll witness how Scorpio's sense of justice becomes a force of destruction when they are crossed. Stories of revenge so quiet, they felt like fate. But for now, sit with this truth. If you don't understand a Scorpio, that's exactly how they want it. Scorpion Part 4. When Scorpio strikes back, vengeance and precision. Drop of blood they don't explode. They erode you, quietly. With some people, you'll know they're angry. They'll shout, cry, throw things, post rants online. But with Scorpio, you might think they're fine. You might think you've gotten away with it. Until one day, your job is gone. Your friends distance themselves. Doors close, opportunities vanish. And you feel it in your bones. This isn't bad luck. This is karma with a Scorpio's face. Balance scale reason number 7. Vengeful to the core, justice, or destruction. Let's be clear. Scorpio does not seek revenge for petty slights. They seek revenge when something sacred is broken. A betrayal of trust. A manipulation of their emotions. A deep, personal violation. Bomb real story. The disappearance of a business rival. In Saigon, a man named Dewey ran a digital marketing agency. He poached a major client from a Scorpio named In, using underhanded tactics, and said nothing. For 14 months. Then, Dewey's best employee left. Then his reputation in the local scene started crumbling without a word spoken. Then the client he stole returned to it. How? Turns out it never fought back publicly. He mentored Dewey's assistant quietly, helped him start a rival firm, and let the situation implode from within. Scorpio vengeance is strategic warfare. And sometimes, it's even beautiful. Man in lotus position what the Dharma says, hatred does not cease by hatred. And yet, Scorpio's sense of karma feels personal. They are not vengeful just for ego. They often believe they are balancing a universal scale. They don't just want to win. They want the universe to remember who is right. That's not ego. That's Plutonian justice. Direct at reason number 8. They know how to hit where it hurts. Most people strike randomly. Scorpio strikes surgically. They don't just say, "You're a bad friend." They say, "You betrayed your best friend just to impress someone who doesn't even respect you." And that sentence will haunt you forever. Cold face example, the divorce that broke a public image. A woman named Sophia married a charismatic Scorpio lawyer. Years later, she cheated with someone in their inner circle. He didn't scream. He didn't pack his bags. Instead, he waited. 2 years later, when her book was about to launch, he released emails, photos, and legal letters that dismantled her credibility. He didn't just hurt her socially. He targeted her legacy. Scroll reason number 9. They burn bridges and make sure you can't rebuild. Other signs leave room for reconciliation. Scorpio doesn't. Once they decide you're toxic, they won't just walk away. They'll set fire to the bridge. Then drop the map. Axe real-life cutoff. The family member who vanished. Tam, a Vietnamese Scorpio woman, found out her cousin secretly sabotaged her college application by spreading lies. She never confronted her. She simply blocked the cousin on all platforms. Refused to attend family gatherings. Never spoke her name again for 17 years. When asked about it, she said, "I don't hold anger. I just remove poison." To Scorpio, cutting people off isn't drama. It's spiritual sanitation. Puzzle piece why it's so dangerous, yet powerful. This ability to cut people off and burn the bridge makes Scorpio untouchable. No one can guilt trip them. No one can emotionally manipulate them. And once they're done, they're done. But it also means they can isolate themselves from healing. That's the karma of vengeance. Even if you win the war, your heart may not find peace. New moon reason number 10. They will expose your weaknesses. Not out of cruelty, but because they see them. Scorpios are like spiritual surgeons. They sense what you're hiding, what you're insecure about, what will destroy you if touched too soon. And if you harm them first, they will open your wounds in public, not with a scream, but with a single sharp whisper. Fire Scorpio's shadow is their armor and their curse. Their ability to carry pain and turn it into strategy is legendary. But spiritually, it creates heaviness. When Scorpio seeks vengeance, they carry the fire with them. And as the Buddha teaches, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So the question becomes, can Scorpio evolve beyond revenge into transformation? The answer is yes. But it requires conscious awareness, healing, and forgiveness, not for others, but for themselves. Brain closing this chapter, are you in a Scorpio's memory right now? If you've ever wronged a Scorpio, they may have forgiven you, but make no mistake, you now live in their memory, and that memory has weight. Milky Way next, Part 5, the guardian side of Scorpio. Fierce love, fierce loyalty. We've explored Scorpio's darkness, but in Part 5, we meet their protector side. The friend who will destroy anyone who hurts you. The lover who will sacrifice their dreams for your safety. The warrior of silent justice who shields the weak. Because beneath the vengeance is a protector born from pain. Scorpion Part 5, the guardian side of Scorpio. Fierce love, fierce loyalty. Shield you are either inside their circle or outside the wall. There's no sort of close with a Scorpio. You're either protected like sacred treasure or kept at a distance like a threat they haven't assessed yet. And if you're in, prepare to experience the most unwavering, intense loyalty you've ever known. Because once Scorpio decides you're worth defending, they will take on the whole world for you. Quietly, strategically, completely. Fire reason number 11. Fiercely protective, guardians in human form. A Scorpio doesn't wait for danger to appear. They anticipate it. They study every person around you. They watch every tone, every pattern, every friend of a friend. Not because they're paranoid, but because they are wired to protect what they love. Crossed Swords real story. The bodyguard sister. Mai, a Scorpio nurse in Hanoi, found out her younger sister was dating someone who mocked her behind her back. She didn't forbid the relationship. She simply said, "You'll realize who he is when he's forced to reveal himself." Then she waited. Later, when the man cheated, Mai already had screenshots, evidence, and backup support from friends. Her sister never even had to confront him. Mai did. The breakup was swift, clean, and absolute. Scorpios don't yell in protection. They plan the rescue silently. Lightbulb, the Buddhist warrior ideal, compassion with a sword. In Buddhist lore, there are protectors called Dharma guardians. They don't preach. They act, with compassion in one hand and a sword of truth in the other. Scorpios are modern Dharma guardians. They don't protect everyone, but those they do are protected by wisdom, intuition, and wrathful mercy. Compass reason number 12. Resistance to manipulation, the lie detector sign. It is almost impossible to trick a Scorpio. Why? Because they don't just hear what you say. They feel what you're hiding. You change tone? They note it. You avoid eye contact? They know why. You over-explain? They know what guilt feels like. Brain story. The interview that turned into a trap. Hannah, a Scorpio business owner in LA, was hiring a new assistant. A candidate came in, polished and charming, flawless on paper. But halfway through, Hannah tilted her head and said, "You've rehearsed this. Tell me something real." The woman froze. Turns out she had fabricated parts of her resume. And somehow, Hannah knew instinctively. Scorpios aren't just intuitive. They're trained by lifetimes of betrayal, and that has made them emotionally bulletproof. First place medal reason number 13. Competitive, but not just to win, to survive. A Scorpio doesn't compete to be better than you. They compete to master themselves, to eliminate weakness, to own their power. Trophy real story, the quiet champion. Tien, a Scorpio martial artist in Vietnam, trained in silence. While others flaunted medals and followers, he simply practiced. One day at a regional tournament, the crowd laughed when they saw him. Small, quiet, unassuming. Until the matches began. He defeated 5 opponents back-to-back, without showing a single expression. When asked how he felt, he said, "Victory isn't loud. It's focused." That's Scorpio. Never needing applause. Only needing dominance over chaos. Bomb reason number 14. Intimidating, without trying. Scorpios don't need to say much. Their energy says it all. A look, a pause, a stillness in a noisy room. They hold emotional authority, and people feel it in their gut. High voltage example, the silent professor. Dr. Ray, a Scorpio literature teacher, walked into his class without saying a word for the first full minute. When he finally spoke, it was this: "Those of you who looked away will struggle in this course, because you're not comfortable with silence." Half the room shifted in their seats. From that day forward, no one dared whisper during his lectures. Scorpios don't control through fear. They control through presence. Why Scorpio's loyalty is sacred, not optional. In today's throwaway world of flaky friendships and fleeting bonds, Scorpio is the exception. When they love you, they will defend your name in rooms you've never entered. They will remember your pain better than you do. They will take your burdens if it means your soul can rest. But cross them, and all of that turns to ice. Man in lotus position. Buddhist reflection. Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. Scorpios don't say much, but when they speak in loyalty, it's a vow. They love not casually, but ritually. And in that vow is something sacred. The kind of protection that makes you feel invincible. The kind of loyalty that never forgets your true self, even when you do. Brain closing part 5. The strength that comes from stillness. We've seen Scorpio's destructive side. We've now seen their guardian power, silent, strong, and spiritual. In a world full of noise, a Scorpio's quiet loyalty is thunder. Milky Way up next. Part 6. The final lesson. To love or leave a Scorpio. In the final part, we'll tie together the 15 traits, examine what it really means to have a Scorpio in your life, and offer spiritual lessons on acceptance, healing, and letting go. Because at the end of it all, Scorpio doesn't just test you, they transform you. Scorpion Part 6. The final lesson. To love or leave a Scorpio. Man in lotus position at the edge of shadow and light. You've made it here. Through the fire, through the silence, through the rage, and through the tenderness. Now, we stand at the final gate. And it's time to ask, what is the true lesson Scorpio offers us? Is it fear? Respect? A warning? Or something deeper? A mirror? 15. They are hard to read, but impossible to forget. Scorpios are enigmas wrapped in silence. Even when you sleep beside them for years, share laughter, tears, dreams, you'll realize one day, I never truly knew what they were thinking. And that is not by accident. It is by design. They protect their inner world not because they are deceitful, but because they are sacredly private. Where others offer pieces of themselves easily, Scorpios offer nothing until they trust you completely. Brain, what's dangerous about this? You can't predict someone you don't understand. You can't manipulate someone who doesn't reveal their buttons. And most of all, you can't recover easily from someone who gave you everything in silence and then disappeared without explanation. Man, lotus position, what's spiritual about this? Scorpio teaches us the rarest wisdom in a world addicted to overexposure. You don't have to be fully seen to be deeply felt. Their mystery is a form of meditation. Their stillness is a sermon. The moment you lose a Scorpio, you begin to understand how their presence shaped your growth. Because once they go silent, their absence becomes louder than words. Broken Heart Scorpio's final lesson to the world. You may not understand me, but you will remember me. Not for what I said, but for what I made you feel, and how I changed you without ever needing to ask. Magnifying glass tilted left. Scorpio is not just a sign. It's a spiritual archetype. In Buddhist psychology, we are all composed of seeds. Some are light, some are dark. What you water grows. Scorpio carries both. The seed of vengeance and the seed of sacred love. The seed of destruction and the seed of profound healing. So when you meet a Scorpio, whether in romance, family, or friendship, you are not just encountering a person. You are meeting a soul who holds the power to mirror your truest self back to you. And that can be terrifying, because they will see the part of you that lies, the part of you that's afraid, the part of you that craves control but doesn't admit it. They are not always gentle with that truth, but they are almost always right. Broken Heart, what happens if you hurt a Scorpio? Let's be honest. You don't just break up with a Scorpio. You create an echo, and it lives in their memory like a fire beneath the ash. But more importantly, you break their world order. To them, loyalty is a soul contract. When you violate that, it's not just heartbreak. It's spiritual betrayal. They will retreat. They will shut the gates. They may never explain why, and you will sit with the ache of not being allowed back in. Revolving arts, but what happens if you love a Scorpio? Fully? If you stay. If you earn their trust. If you prove you will not flinch at their darkness. They will give you everything. Their love is not gentle, but it is devotional. They will fight your demons beside you. Call out your lies with love. Build a loyalty that makes kingdoms look weak. They don't need perfect partners. They need real ones. The ones who don't run when the waters get deep. Because Scorpio waters are always deep. Fire the final 15 lessons in one sentence each. Emotions aren't weaknesses, they're weapons of awakening. Pain remembered is not revenge, it's awareness. Manipulation isn't always cruelty, sometimes it's survival. Mystery is the home of sacred power. Forgiveness is earned, not expected. Competition is not ego, it's evolution. Revenge is justice, distorted. Reading people is their way of praying for safety. Protection is their love language. They don't fall for lies, they feel them. Their silence is more honest than most people's noise. Loyalty is holy. Violate it, and they will excommunicate you. When a Scorpio burns a bridge, it's already been tested. They expose your weakness so you can reclaim your power. You never truly know a Scorpio, but if you love them right, you won't need to. Buddhist takeaway: the path of Scorpio is the path of the Bodhisattva with scars. Scorpios walk between life and death, shadow and light. They are not saints. They are not villains. They are guardians of transformation. And every person who has ever met a Scorpio, whether it ended in love or fire, was offered this challenge. Will you dare to meet the truth, even if it hurts? Because Scorpio doesn't offer comfort. They offer awakening. Folded hands, closing prayer to those who've loved or lost a Scorpio. To those who were loved by a Scorpio and lost them. May you one day understand the depth of that love and the pain that closed the door. To those who still hold a Scorpio close, honor them. They may not show it, but they are fighting silent battles for you every day. To Scorpios watching this, your power is not your shadow. Your power is your light, hidden in shadow. Rise with it. And love, not to control, but to transform. Loudspeaker, now it's your turn. Bell, if this journey moved you, like, share, and subscribe. Speech balloon, tell us in the comments, what was your Scorpio experience? A love? A lesson? A war? A miracle? Milky Way, and don't forget, Scorpios may disappear, but they are never truly gone. Until next time, this is the path to Buddhist wisdom, signing off with love, depth, and transformation.